Chaos Angel Act 2 isn't all that different from Act 1, to be honest. Which, again, is actually a compliment coming from me, because I liked the previous act. It wasn't nearly as hard as I expected it to be. This definitely has a more ominous theme than the previous level did. Like, it's more slow-paced and ominous. And to be honest, I actually like it. Like, I didn't think much of it when I listened to it on YouTube, but when I listened to it while playing the game, it does a good job of making it feel kind of epic. I still prefer the version of the theme from Act 1 and 3, though. I prefer when the theme sounds more fast-paced and frantic. Yeah, like, the enemies, aside from the buzz bombers, aren't that annoying. Although, I guess the monkeys that throw projectiles and stuff kind of are. The explosions are so tiny, though, that it's very easy for them to miss you. So, it's not really that bad. You just jump on them, and they die. The bad things of this place are so easy. It's so ironic, like, you've got buzz bombers and basically coconuts and stuff. They seem to be like first level enemies, and yet they're here in the final level of the game. And those things, like, that was a really cheaply placed enemy. Like, that's the hardest, aside from the buzz bombers, that purple enemy is the hardest enemy in the entire level. Again, this level is pretty well designed. Unlike the first acts in the game, it's not like it's confusing to navigate through. It doesn't have cheap enemy placement that much of the time. I mean, sometimes it has cheap boulder placement. Like, I really hate the boulders in this area. The boulders are the only gimmick in this level that really frustrate me. Other than that, it's a fun challenge. Like, the enemies are pathetic. They aren't cheaply placed at all. Most of the time. And Chaos Angel in general has a really unique aesthetic. It takes place in Angel Island. And it's incredibly rare for a 2D Sonic game to have an end level that isn't part of Eggman's base. Like, this is such a unique concept for an end level of a 2D Sonic game. And it's even a unique concept on its own, because this isn't really that much like all of the previous Angel Island zones. Like, this is pretty tense. Like, see? That explosion was so tiny. Like, I was so worried that the explosion was going to kill me, but it didn't. That spring looks tickishly placed, but if you walk into it, you'll be running so fast that you'll be able to just run across the platforms without falling to your death. Like, that's something I've noticed about Advance 2 and 3. Something I hated about the classic games was that there was a lot of times where I would get to a spring that would send me back. And I felt like that was such bad level design. But in the Advance series, I've noticed that you don't really have springs that send you back and force you to go back to where you were. So that's really good. Like, that's the most intimidating Crusher Block sequence in the entire level. I mean, there are a few sequences where, like, you get sent upwards and then you have to jump really fast or you'll be crushed by walls. But that's not really a problem for me. Mainly because I have double jump in the climb, but still. Even as Sonic, it's really not that bad. You just jump constantly. And Chaos Angel has these horizontal things. And I was surprised that how they work so much better than the ones like them from Launch Base Zone. Because how they work, well, Launch Base Zone didn't really have anything that you swung around on. But my point is, you hold up on them, and they fling you upwards. That's it. It's so simple. Like, you don't have to time it or anything like that. I love how fast and far it launches you. They're pretty nice, and they're certainly a lot more better than the other horizontal pulls throughout the game. You never have to time specifically, that is such a cheaply placed enemy. Although, I didn't get knocked into a pit. Like, that's the thing, the outside areas have a lot of bottomless pits, but they also have lower roots, so it's not like you're always guaranteed to be knocked into a pit, or fall into one if you mess up. So they're not really that bad. Amy as Sonic's partner is the only combination in the game that causes non-gameplay related sprites and animations to change. It's like there's all of a sudden power limitations. Like it's Sonic 3 Knuckles again, and you turn to Super Sonic and the balloons change color. It's kind of weird. Most of the combinations in the game, though, don't really alter the color palette that much. Yeah, there was actually another take that I didn't get to show you, because I did something silly where I died on my first take of that level, and then I reloaded the state and the game crashed, because the emulator loves to do that for some reason. And I forgot to start recording again when I reloaded my state, and I did so many other save states after that by the time I noticed that I wasn't recording. So I had to basically reset my emulator and do the entire level all over again. And surprisingly, I only died once in that level. This level, though, you're going to die in it a lot. This is easily the worst level in the entire game. And I'm very tempted to call this the worst level in all of 2D Sonic in general. Worse than Scrambled Egg Zone, because at least when you know how to deal with the tube maze, it's not that bad. Worse than Atomic Destroyer Zone, worse than Aqua Lake Zone, worse than anything 2D Sonic has to offer. This does not belong in a Sonic game. And the only reason that I don't think it's as bad as it could be is that you have the potential of different playable characters and different combinations that can make this easier. The great thing about Cream's flight is that you can press B to cancel out of it and drop down instantly whenever you want, which is something you can't do with Tails. So, like, the one time I tried to play this level with Tails, I ended up, well, it didn't turn out very well. So that's why I recommend playing with this combination right here. You got Cream and Knuckles, so you don't entirely have to focus on attacking the enemies because Cheese might attack the enemies for you. Follow the trails of rings because generally they are a very good hint as to where on the platform you should stand to avoid getting crushed. And like I said, it's such a good thing to have a character that can fly here because some of those spikes are such a long row that it's nearly impossible to dodge them. I have gotten crushed there multiple times when I played that on my cartridge, and it was so frustrating. But I never felt like this game had wonky crusher hitboxes. Like a lot of people say it does, but I don't know. Aside from the few times when I got crushed on that previous crushing section because the very tip of Cream's feet were crushed by the ceiling, I don't know. Well, it is easy to get crushed. Every time that I get crushed in this game, I know that it's my fault. I don't feel like the game glitched out on me. This is the really cheap part. Like, the platform isn't long enough, so when you get hit by the falling boulders, you're guaranteed to get knocked to your death in a Castlevania death. Well, I wouldn't exactly call it that because they're not enemies in the game killing you, they're just hazards. So. But yeah, some of these rows of spikes are ridiculously long, and so if you don't have a character that can fly over them, you can jump over them, but you have to have a lot of momentum and run at them. I don't know why anyone would ever play this level as Sonic. Because you can cancel out of your flight with Cream by pressing the B button, and you can instantly land where you, on the platform where you were above, exactly where you were when you first started flying. It's so much better to be playing as Cream over Tails, who can't cancel out of his flight and fall precisely. I love the theme of that place. Like, I love how fast-paced it is, and it really ramps up the electric guitar to make it more epic. Although, it kind of removes some parts of the melody that I really appreciated from Act 1. So that's ultimately why I don't like it more than Act 1's theme. But Act 3's theme is still pretty awesome. I love the electric guitar. Well, it's an imitation electric guitar, but still. It does a lot to make up for the atrociousness that is that level. But right after that comes an atrocious boss fight. There's a reason that I'm playing this as Cream. You see, you have to hit Emerald's head in order to damage this boss. But the problem is that Emerald's head is such a tiny target. And constantly, Eggman's Eggmobile will be spinning around, so you won't be able to reliably attack Emerald's head. And like, he's constantly moving all over the place. And just like in Cosmic Angel's boss fight that sucked, if you lose your rings here, you're guaranteed to not get them back because the rings fall through the floor. I mean, thankfully you don't have to constantly jump on the floor in order to flip his Eggmobile over to attack him. But there's a reason that I play this as Cream. To be honest, I died more to this boss than I did in the entirety of Chaos Angel Act 3. I mean, I died a little more in my actual cartridge run of Chaos Angel Act 3. But it's like the weird thing is, Act 3 was kind of better than I expected because I assumed that you'd be on one platform for the entire level and there would be no checkpoints at all. But thankfully that's not the case. There are plenty of checkpoints. You have a break between the multiple different platforms. And it's only 3 minutes long, although it'll feel like it takes forever. That's definitely the level you want to have a stock of 9 lives when you get to. I love the music that plays here. Like, it's pretty epic. I like the feeling of it. This is easily the most annoying Emerald fight in the game. His attacks are completely randomized. So it's not really a method. It's not really about memorizing his pattern, because what pattern does he have? Like, I can prove it. I think I proved it in one of my earlier Emerald fights. Like, I was reloading the state and he did a different attack than he would have the last time that I reloaded the state. His attacks are completely randomized, so it's impossible to do much of a strategy with him because you never know what attack he's going to do next. He seems to have added chaos control to his mix. And it's weird because in Sonic Battle, he got his new abilities from fighting other characters. So it's like, I can understand he got the homing attack from fighting Sonic enough, because he did that in the game. But it's not like he fought Shadow at any point, so why does he have chaos control now? It's like, he's really annoying this fight because he's always teleport spamming, and so he gets away from you a lot. Thankfully, Cheese the Chow can make this boss fight easier, but not by much. Like, look, I'm constantly... Like, I take that back. I don't think Cheese can actually home into him at all. Like, I'm constantly mashing the B button. Like, that's another thing. Cheese the Chow is just as unresponsive as he was in Advanced Tip. Like, remember when I was trying to fight that boss with Cream, and I mashed the button like 27 times, and Cheese wouldn't get thrown at all. Like, I don't know if it was 27 or 42, but Cheese is just as unresponsive in this game. Constantly you'll be pressing the button trying to get it to attack and it won't. That's why you should fight this boss as Cream and Knuckles. Because just jumping into him, and the Chow will just circle around you and it'll attack the boss just from being there. You don't even have to press the B button to send it at it. There's also plenty of other ways that you can cheese this difficult boss. What you're supposed to do is wait until the hands are rising up from destroying the floor, and then you land on them and jump at the boss from on top of them. And sometimes red balls will appear, and you have to jump on top of those small red balls and jump at the boss that way.
You're going to pay
when you fight it legitimately for some reason, it's the hardest boss in the game. But the thing is, to get the good ending, you're forced to beat it as Sonic. But that doesn't really matter because if you have Cream as your partner at Sonic, then you can just throw cheese at it anyways. And ironically enough, the worst combination in the game, well, I'd say Knuckles and Sonic is the worst combination, but one of the worst combinations of the game is Sonic and Knuckles. And with Knuckles as your partner as Sonic, you can actually cheese the boss even more by just mashing the upwards attack button. Just constantly do the upwards attack in the center, and you'll keep on attacking the boss. Although I don't really think that's a very broken combination with the boss. Like, you'll still constantly get hit, and the knockback can send you into the pits. Another thing I hate about the boss fight is that it's really unpredictable how the hands are going to react, because they're moving all over the place, and they only stop for a tiny amount of time before crushing you or something. So I don't really want to do it. Was that then Almachow taking a picture? So is this confirming that Almachow are canon characters in the Sonic universe and not just tutorial guys? Okay, so then who made them? Like, did Eggman make Almachows, or did Tails make them? And why? I don't know. That was a pretty charming cutscene. I'll be showing you the good ending and the Supersonic section and stuff in the extra part. But yeah, another way that you can cheese that final boss is to play as Sonic and Amy, or any character partnered up with Amy really, because if you use Amy's tag action and you just get flung upwards at the boss, you'll actually damage it because you're in ball form when you're sent to the weak spot. So yeah, like that boss, it can be pretty hard, but it's easily the most easy to break boss in the franchise. So yeah, that's Sonic Advance 3. And to be honest, it's a lot better than I expected. My first experience with this was Clement's Let's Play, and going into it, I thought that it would be a lot worse than it was. Most of the levels in the game are pretty enjoyable to me. Like, aside from Toy Kingdom, which is kind of bland, I like them all. When I first played the game, I feel like it has a really bad start, because the first levels, up until Twinkle Snow, they have a lot of cheap enemy placement, and the level design is kind of sloppy because it's kind of hard to tell where they expect you to go to progress with the level. It's not Knuckles Chaotix bad, but still. But I don't feel like the Crusher Blocks were nearly as bad of a problem as I was expecting them to be. They're omnipresent in every level, but they're not nearly as bad as I thought they were going to be. Like, most of the levels, I enjoy. They remember to be fast and fun, and they have some good platforming as well. Although it's not until Chaos Angel that the platforming gets really good. And like, I like a lot of the gimmicks, like I like the launching gimmicks. Although I'll never forgive that crouch block for being so unintuitive to use. But like, there's a lot of gimmicks in this game that I don't like the stupid springs that you have to jump on them at a very specific time, and I always screw them up. But I feel like the partner system is the saving grace of this game. Knuckles and Tails do so much to make this game so much better. And it's really not even that broken, because even without Knuckles and Tails, I love how fast-paced the level design is. I love how there's plenty of fast parts, and I like the platforming. And it's not nearly as cheap as I thought it was going to be. Like, the game has a pretty bad start. Like, the first 4 zones, they're kind of awkward. But at least the levels in general aren't designed like a Mario game. Like, that's the biggest problem I have. Like, Advance 1, it was more a Mario game than a Sonic game. And it was all about... It was kind of awkward level design. It was completely obsessed with spikes. But this game... I don't know, it does its own thing. I don't feel like having a partner ruins the game at all. If anything, it's helping more than anything. I never imagined I would actually be defending this game. I never thought that I would actually like this game, but I guess I just came into it with too low standards. But yeah, I'm pretty happy to say that all of the Advance series is good. Even if this game is definitely flawed, like the hub world suck and can go die in a fire, And the boss fights have a steep learning curve, even if they can be pretty fun when you know what to do. But yeah. See you for the extra part.